Yes, yes, yes. One of my favorite subjects is strength and talking about connecting your mind to the strength muscle that you're working. So I have to redo the video that was in there because the quality of the sound was terrible, and I figured out that I was kind of muffling the microphone on my computer. So hopefully it's much, much better this time. But that means that I have to redo that video, and I wasn't going to read word for word everything that I said. So we're going to talk about strength training because you should be starting your strength training inside your program. This doesn't have to be complicated. Matter of fact, it should be very basic. It should be so basic that every week you push a little harder weight or more reps, and then you get stronger. That's how we build the muscle tissue. So variety, I am a huge lover of variety, but I also have to hold back and remember that as a trainer, I know better that when we want to strength train basic muscle groups, we have to be consistent and keep it basic and overload them, okay? So with that said, I want to give you a little bit of an idea what I'm talking about. Every exercise that you do is going to use many muscles, but it will specifically be focused on one or two muscles. You always have a main muscle group that we're working, and you have an agonist or a helper muscle, and then you have antagonists, ones that are opposing it. So for every muscle that lengthens, one has to shorten, and for every muscle we shorten, one has to lengthen. Just remember that about the body. So if this is your bicep muscle, this is it lengthened. If I want to shorten it and shorten it like that way, this tricep had to lengthen, okay? So if I want to shorten my extensors on my wrist by going like that, so I just shortened these muscles, I had to lengthen these. Now that's a very common one to talk about because we tend to shorten these all the time. We shorten our flexors, and these extensors get so lengthened that we end up with carpal tunnel. So one of the things that I do is I tell people to practice shortening your extensors, and it will automatically start to lengthen your flexors, okay? It's the same way on the body. If you're going to work your abdominals, your low back has to be released. You can't have a tight low back and work your abdominals effectively. If you're going to work your glutes, you have to be able to let your front hip flexors open up. That's right in the groin. They've got to be, they can't be like in a chronic fight or flight tightened, okay? Because you'll just be fighting. They'll be fighting each other. So for everything that shortens, one has to lengthen. Whenever we squeeze the chest together, our back is lengthening. Whenever we squeeze the back together, our chest is lengthening. So that's just an important cue for you to remember as you go working out so that you can learn more about how your body works. The more you make your body work around your house, the better off you're going to be, okay? So with that said, I want you to think about the muscles you're using. The squat is a really big one. It's one that I take a lot of time on with a lot of people. Some people catch it fast, some people take a little longer. But when you squat, it is no different than sitting your butt into a chair and then standing up from that chair. It is until you learn it. But once you learn it, your squat should always be like sitting in a chair. But most of us fall into a chair. Nevertheless, when you go to stand up, it is the same motion as when you squat from the bottom up. You're going to squeeze your butt cheeks. You're going to exhale and squeeze the belly up. As you push through your heels, that will help squeeze your butt cheeks more, okay? Yes, we're going to feel the legs working. Yes, yes, yes. I like to promote a lot of butt cheek and belly, a lot of breath on the stand-up portion of the squat because that is where people hurt their low backs because their low back is doing more work than the belly. It is a great way to work your core. Abdominal crunches aren't going to get you where you want to go, so you got to use your core during every move you have. If you're just standing here doing arm curls, your core should be engaged. And just think about a little kid is going to run up and jump into your lap, and you got to protect your belly, okay? It should be like that when you're doing your arm curls. So your arm curls, you might think have nothing to do with your abdominals, but they do. Your abdominals should be engaged at least 10 to 20% all the time that you're up and about, okay? Next, I also want to make sure that you understand that if you ever question what your form is like, please take a short video, send it to me. I am really good at assessing videos, okay? So take a short video from the side or from the front or both and send it to me and tell me that you would like a little critiquing on that because I love that. I'm really good at that. I love and I have an obsession with watching people move their best. Okay, so I know each of my clients pretty well, and some of them I know when they're at their best squat, even though it's not as good of a squat as someone else, but it has their range of motion in mind. Okay, that's important to know. The next thing that I want to talk about is a little bit of, is muscle heavier than fat? Okay, so if you're going to lift weights, is muscle heavier than fat? Well, no, it's not, because 1 pound of muscle is the same as 1 pound of fat. They're both 1 pound. Okay, but I will tell you that this 1 pound of muscle takes up half the space approximately as this 1 pound of fat. Okay, so think of, let me give you an example. I don't have any examples here with me, but think of a stick of butter and then 2 sticks of butter. Okay, this stick of butter is muscle. It takes up that much space. 2 sticks of butter is 1 pound of fat. Okay, that takes up that much space. So when someone starts strength training and they expect the scale to go down, one reason that they may not see the scale go down, they may be dropping this body fat over here, but they might actually be building muscle real easy, and that muscle is much more dense than the fat. So I have watched people actually go up on the scale and way down in body fat. Okay, now I've seen drastic measures and I've seen very minimal measures. So I've seen someone barely move on the scale, but they've dropped a lot of body fat on the calipers. Okay, and so please work on that mindset that the scale is nothing more than a tool. It's like having a ruler that helps you hang a picture level. Okay, it helps you know where to hang that picture. That's it. So remember that muscle is more dense than fat, but it is not heavier than fat, pound per pound. Okay, inch for inch it is. Okay, inch for inch it is. So that is my lecture on strength. Your major muscle groups are quadriceps, hamstrings, chest and back, bicep, tricep, core, and calves. Okay, I'm going to put those are going to be in your instructions. Those are your 8 major muscle groups. If you can work them all day long and everything you do, you're going to have way more success. But know that when you contract a quadricep, you are lengthening a hamstring. When you lengthen a hamstring, you are contracting or shortening your quadricep. Okay, they work together, but only one can lengthen at a time. The other has to shorten, but they can work together. Okay, meaning one will be doing eccentric work while the other one is doing concentric work. And I don't want to get too complicated, but with that said, keep working your major muscle groups. That's the only thing that I'm going to help you do, is work your major muscle groups. I like to help you be very functional, but in order to build muscle, you cannot be in a caloric deficit. You cannot be a shortage of calories. You have to have every bit of calorie that you need and then some in order to build muscle. And I'm telling you right now that if you are over 30 years old, if you are not making muscle, you are losing muscle, because that is the human nature. Once we pass 30 years old, we start losing muscle mass on a regular basis. Okay, so we must always be creating or doing something that helps us maintain and grow muscle mass. Okay, otherwise it'll be so easy to gain body fat. All right, if you have any questions, let me know, and I am so excited to help you.